Cordial greetings, Unaista community. We're from the Teacher Development course, and today we're going to talk about our experience development the practice as online in step 5, teacher support groups. Okay, let's get started. And my name is Dana, and my experience as preserving teacher and the Sintrafed school, I have recognized the importance of reflect the space for teachers, similar to the professional support routes described in the studies conducted by Farrell and Tatt. Inspired by these models, I believe that forming a student route among English teachers within the institutional would allow for more collaborative professional development, focus on the specific challenge or context. A concrete example is this work I carry out with sixth grade students during an activity focused on the topic of weather, designed to develop listening, speaking, reading skills. During the implementation, I observed that a lot of students showing interest. Their attention was easily distracted. This observation could serve a valuable starting point for analysis within a teacher reflecting route, similar to the one in Korea, where teachers weekly to share wait a moment, to share classroom experience, reflect on common difficulties and collaborative set solution. Following the learning circle model in Singapore, it would also be encouraged to work with other teachers to explore motivational strategy for teaching basic English grammar structures, especially to students with a low level of proficiency. In my experience, I noticed the need um, to incorporate playful activities such as games, songs, or dramatization to maintain students' interests where the learning will relay vocabulary and structures like "it is sunny" or "it is raining." This approach aligns with the findings of the group in Singapore regarding the need to use active methodology connected to student everyday life. Moreover, implementing strategies such as conscious raising activities could be effectively integrated into guide reading sessions or creative reading tasks about the weather. And through shared reflection with other teachers, these strategies could be adapted to the specific content of the students, taking into account their interests, prior experience, and linguistic needs. Okay, and finally, my experience confirms that collaborative work among teachers through study routes or learning circuits not only foster critical reflection on pedagogic practice, but also improve the quality of the teaching learning process. And adopting models like to this present in farmers and data studies would be a value strategy for professional development in contexts such as mine, where mutual support, exploration of effective models, and pedagogical adaptation are key to promoting meaningful learning for students. Okay, let's continue with my partner.
Wow, I really enjoyed listening your reflection. I feel very connected to your experience because I have slow notice how important it is for us as pre-service teacher to have space uh, where we can talk about our classes and support each other. I think your idea of starting a study group is great. If something I would love to be part of too. I also work with young students and I face the same challenge. They get distracted so easy. Even when they're like the topic, I try games and songs too, especially when teaching vocabulary like days of the week or feelings. It really helped them stay focused and have fun. Your sample about using playful activities for the weird topic sounds super effective. I agree 100%. that working with other teachers and sharing ideas can really help us find better ways to teach grammar or vocabulary, especially to students who are just starting to learn English. The learning cycle model sounds interesting, and I'd like to learn more about it. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I will talk about my experience. Um, so today I want to tell about something that I see a lot of in the classroom, fear of failing. Many students are afraid to speak, afraid to make mistakes, afraid that someone will laugh of at them or say that's wrong. And I understand them. I really do, because I was also like that when I was a kid. When I was younger, I was afraid of speaking in front of people. I thought, what if I say something wrong? What if they think I know too smart? So sometimes I stayed quiet even when I knew the answer. Now, as a teacher, I see the same thing in my students. Some kids don't raise their hands. Some don't talk even when I ask them directly. They look down. They smile nervous. And I know it's no because they don't know. It's because they are scared of failing. But here's something I always tell them, and maybe someone needs to tell you too. Failing is part of learning. Make mistake is how we grow. Nobody's perfect and nobody has to be. I remember one student, very sweet, very smart, but he never talked in English class. Never. He always wrote quietly or copy what others were doing. One day I sat beside him and say, "Do you know the answer?" He whispered, and guess what? He was right. So I say, "Why you don't you say in louder?" He told me I don't want to be wrong. That moment broke my heart a little, because I saw how much pressure he put on himself. So we made a deal. Every time you speak, even if it is wrong, I will give you a high five. We start small, one word, then a sentence. There, he start helping his classmates. He felt rude, not because he was perfect, but because he was trying. And
Hello everyone, my name is Jensi Zúñiga Rivas and I'm doing the retroalimentation for my partner Gustavo. My partner Gustavo, during his session, he noticed that some of the students have fear of failing. Some of them are afraid to speak or afraid to make mistakes during the speaking session, or even afraid that some of the other students will laugh at them. He gave us a real life example of one student in his session that is very smart, very sweet, very intelligent. And he was afraid to speak out loud because he thought he was wrong. But actually, he was right. He got the answer of the exercise right. So, my partner Gustavo, after this session, he approached the student and asked him why didn't he speak out loud during the session. He told him that he was afraid that he was wrong. So my partner Gustavo took those comments into account and approached the students in the session, telling them that it's okay to make mistakes. This is a safe space. You can speak and I will not laugh at you. I'm here to help you. And he always, during his sessions, tell the students that don't be afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to fail. And every small step is still a step. So I think that my partner Gustavo has a very kind way to approach his students, motivating them to continue their learning process and reminding them that learning another language can be a fun process if you're not afraid to fail.
Hi, Jency. Thank you for you sharing your experience. I think it's wonderful that you took the time to listen to your students and adapt your classes based on the methodologies they feel most comfortable with. That shows great empathy and a strong commitment to student-centered learning. Your reflection about asking yourself how to help your students improve even more is very inspiring. It's clear that you see teaching not just as delivering content but as a process of constant adaptation and support. I completely agree with you when you say that educational material is a powerful tool to keep students motivated. It really makes a difference when the content connects with their interest and learning styles. Also, I like how you mentioned it that a teacher is not a born being. That is such a deep and true statement. This practice is a learning journey for all of us, and I am glad you are using it to understand not only your students but also your own growth as a future teacher. I believe it's very important for us as teachers to put ourselves in our students' shoes. We were and still are English learners too. We know how frustrating it can feel when you don't understand something or when you are afraid to speak. That's why I believe that students should see the teacher as a guide, not as a figure of authority who is only there to criticize every mistake. So, for me, creating a safe space where students feel free to participate without fear is essential for the learning process. Thank you, Jency. Well, hello everyone. My name is Diana Carolina Munar Castillo. About my experience as an English language teaching intern at Liceo Campestre Montessori. This process has been a mix of both rewarding and challenging moments. On one hand, I have the chance to grow, apply what I've learned in my studies, and improve my teaching skills. But on the other hand, not everything has been easy. I've had the opportunity to work with both primary and secondary students, and the contrast between the two groups has been quite different. For example, in primary school, students are open, curious, and full of energy. They love participating in class, they enjoy being spoken to in English, and they don't feel embarrassed when they make mistakes. They are always willing to try new activities, go to the front of the class, and get involved, even if they don't understand everything perfectly. Their motivation has truly been one of the most beautiful parts of my practice. However, the experience with secondary students, especially in grades 10th and 11th, has been very different and, to be honest, much more difficult. Many of them are afraid to speak in English. They lack confidence and there is little interest in participating, particularly in speaking activities. In grade 11th, this has been even more evident. There are only 7 students, 3 girls and 4 boys, but they tend to split into groups, talk during class, and pay very little attention. Even though the group is small, it's been hard to manage because they don't show much respect for the class or for me. Um, the institution uses a very traditional method to teach English, focusing almost on textbooks and workbooks. Every class follows the same routine: open the book, work on a unit, and complete the exercise. As a train, I have to follow the instructions of my teacher, who expects me to stick to this structure. That means I have to limit opportunities to innovate or bring in new dynamic activities. And when I do try to introduce something different, I don't feel support, especially in high school. So to try and manage this challenge, I've started explaining activities to the students in a smaller group. First, I approach the girls and guide them through the task, and then I go to the boys and do the same. This has helped a little in maintaining control, but it doesn't change the bigger issue: the students' lack of interest, motivation, and respect for the learning process. Mm, Despite this challenge, this practice has taught me a lot. I've learned to be patient, to adapt to difficult situations, and to keep going even when things don't turn out the way I hope. It has shown me the importance of looking for new ways to connect with students and encourage them, especially who feel disconnected from English. So that was my experience. Thank you.
Okay, and upon listening to my classmate Diana's experience, I truly admire her honesty and reflected attitude in describing both the rewarding and challenging aspects of her internship. It's clear that she has approached her role as a pre-service teacher with sensitive awareness and dignity to root, and despite the limitations she has encountered. I found it especially inspiring how she highlighted the positive energy and enthusiasm of primary students. Her description of their openness to learning and willingness to participate, even when they made mistakes, reflects the kind of environment where learning had truly flourished. This reinforces the idea that create a safe and useful learning space is crucial, especially in language education. On the other hand, I recognize the emotional and professional weight of the difficulties she faced with older students, particularly with the lack of motivation and classroom management issues. These challenges are very real, and I appreciate how Diana did just start on describing the problem, but actively sought strategies like working with smaller groups to maintain some control and connection. This shows her commitment and resourcefulness as a future educator. Thank you very much for your attention. See you later. Bye bye.